Hey students, good to see you all. Today should be a nice, easy lesson. We're talking about triangles today. The learning activity will be on the next day. Actually, I might just post a learning activity for today. I don't know. I'm still trying to figure it out. But let's get to it, okay? We're going to talk about triangles and looking at the sides of them, okay? Let's get tripped out about this. Look at this. Let's contrast triangles. We're going to compare triangles to each other and then see what are differences to each other, okay? Let's go ahead and get to it though. Our warm-up today is looking at three sides and three angles. So take a look at these angles real quick. You'll notice something here. Maybe something you'll notice is that you have sides 6, 6, 6, and then all those different numbers together, right? The nines and the fours, right? So maybe that's something you notice right away. Another thing you might notice, just because there are triangles in the same category doesn't mean they're all the same shape, right? We have many different shapes of triangles going on here. Here's some other details that we'll notice with our warm-up today. So we can see that they're identical copies. They have the same side lengths. So remember that 6, 4, 9 that I was talking about? Looks like those all have the same sides. And they have the same angle measures. Remember, an angle is going to be these particular parts right here, right? So we can say that all these have the same angle measures, but what's going on is maybe some of them are being rotated, flipped around, moved around, right? They all should be the same. So here's another one. Okay, look at these four triangles. What do you notice? And what's the same, what's different? Okay, maybe something you notice is that these triangles are kind of the same, but they are scaled from each other. Remember back in first quarter, we had scale factors. One's a small one, one's a bigger one, right? All these seem to be scaled. Notice how as well, you have the same angle measures. Okay, so 56 there, look at all those 56s, right? If I have 83s, those are all the same as well. And then 41 and so on, okay? What could be different? Well, different is different size, different position, and then we notice that the angles were the same, okay? But we can say these are identical. They are not identical copies. Remember, if this is an identical copy, it would be the exact same shape and size, okay? But they do have the same three angle measures and they have different side lengths, okay? Just because we have the same angles here doesn't mean these sides, I'll do this in red, this side doesn't match with this side right here, or this one, right? They're all different lengths of sides, okay? So we have different triangles going on here, but they do have the same angles. All right, let's next to the next part. So we're going to look at two sides and one angle, okay? Again, all we're doing is looking at triangles and comparing them, okay? We're going to be able to see what the differences are and what makes them the same, okay? So go ahead and please pause this video. So pause this video, look at these triangles over here. We got to see what is the same about the triangles in the set and what is different. So go ahead and pause. Hopefully you paused. I don't think most of you did, but that's okay. If I was to look at these triangles, well, I noticed that all these triangles have 5 and 7 with them. Okay, do you see that? And I also noticed that they have 30 degrees involved with them. But ask yourself this, are these the same sizes? Are these the same shapes? Okay, when I look at this, it doesn't really look like it's the same shapes, right? You have all these different kind of triangles. If I was to put them on each other, I mean, it's kind of different for most of them. But we could also see the same as they have the same sides, 5 and 7, and then the same 30 degrees, okay? But my next question is, so how many different triangles are there? So one example is, if I look at this first triangle over here, right? I see that it's 7 and 5. In between the 7 and 5, there's a 30 degrees, okay? So I want to see if there's something similar to that with each one of these. So if I'm going to each one, well, the second one is 5 there. Doesn't look like there's a 30 in between. Okay, this one, maybe, but not quite, right? The 30 should be here. But look over here. This one and has 7 and 5, and in between 30 degrees in between, okay? So just because they're moved around, right, we can see those two triangles I picked are actually the same to each other, okay? So that's one pair of triangles that are different. Go ahead and pause, see if you can find another one. Okay. Again, if I show you, look at the colors. So we have 4 different triangles. We have the blue ones, which has the 7 and 5 and the 30 degrees in between. Okay. The yellow ones, look at the yellow ones. We have a 5 and 7 on the side there, right? Those sides, those numbers are over there. But on the other part, there's an angle there, okay? Same thing with the green and same with the red. All right. This is actually kind of something that I teach in 9th grade math as well. But the idea is we're trying to see which triangles are the same and how they're the same, right? In this case, the triangles that have the same side positions and the angle are the same kind to each other, okay? Let's try that again, but now we're going to do 2 angles and 1 side, okay? So I need to look at the set. Again, you're going to have to do a lot of pausing and just looking at all of this, right? So go ahead and pause. Something you should notice, I want you to see what's the same, what's different, okay? So if I was to look at this, well, I do notice that 6 is everywhere, right? That's the same. I also notice that those angles are right there from each other, right? All those have 40 and 80 degrees. You can also say one triangle shooting up, another shooting down, okay? What's different though? Well, going back to what we said last time, if you look at the positions now, so if I was to look at this one right here, this first one, we have 2 degrees and then a side in the middle of it. Do you see that? Okay. If you check everywhere else, right, the sides on this side, ooh, that one does have 2 degrees. And in the middle, you have a side. Okay. So some of them do have that and some of them don't, right? So you got to compare it to them. So now the question is, how many different triangles are there? And then we got to explain your reasoning. Go ahead and pause this video. Okay. And by now you should see that there are a couple of things going on here, right? And we're going to do the same thing. Like I said before, I want to see that, oh, this one has an angle, and in between those angles is a side, right? Is there any triangles that have that? Well, I see that this one has an angle, this one has an angle, and there's that side. Okay, so those two have to be the same to each other, okay? Now looking at this next one, well, I have here an angle, in between there's nothing, but to the right side of the 40 degrees is a 6. Again, that's to the right side of the 40 degrees, right? So is there anything that's similar to that? Okay, ask yourself that. All right, looking at this, I can kind of see, okay, well, I have an angle there, and I have an angle, and then there's a 6 on that side as well. Okay, noticing how the angles are on one side, and then the side length of a 6 is on the other side of it. So those triangles are probably the same to each other, okay? So here are my answers with that. Notice how I have the blue triangles. There's actually 4 of them that are the same, okay? But except they're moved around a little bit in different positions, right? The green ones, there's 2 of them, the ones that we just talked about. And then we have the yellow one, which is the bigger triangle, okay? So again, you're just kind of matching which triangles are the same, right? We can notice it by where the angles are and where the sides are, okay? So in this lesson, what does it mean for 2 triangles to be different? Well, we could say that they are not identical copies, right? That's the idea of looking at the 2 sides and in the middle was an angle, or the 2 angles and in the middle was a side, right? That's what we just said. And then if you have a drawing of 2 triangles, how can you tell if they are identical copies? I kind of just answered that already, but again, we know that they're identical copies if, for example, I draw, let's say, 2 triangles here with an angle and 6, 30 degrees, 40 degrees. Let's make it easier right there. Remember when we said that if we had 2 angles and one in the middle, then it's an identical copy, right? And if I do something like this, okay, I know that is identical because of this angle, side angle thing going on, right? You have the two angles and then a side value in the middle, okay? That's how I know something's the same, all right? That's kind of getting to ninth grade math. Kind of cool, right? Next question is, when trying to draw different triangles with the same set of conditions, what are some things to try? Well, something you could do is you could change the order of the conditions in the triangle. So maybe you can move it around, right? Remember, the triangle is going to stay the same. The angles are going to be the same numbers and the size is going to be there. But if you rotate, turn it around, move it around, try to match it, right? You'll see that those triangles will be the same, okay? Then other than that, that's pretty much today's lesson. Karen said you're the best. I agree. I understand that changing which sides and angles are next to each other can make different triangles. Again, there'll probably be a learning activity tomorrow. Besides that, I hope you have a great day. Peace out.